One thing that I want to focus on in this show is just kind of the relationship between the property owner and the property manager.
Sure.
Because in my view, it really takes a team to go far.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, you want to make sure you're identifying a good property manager. Someone asked me the other day, what's the value in having a property manager? Why can't people just do it themselves? So what would be your answer to that question?
Sure, that's a really good question. People can do it themselves. The key is, or the big question is, how much time do you want to spend doing it? And what skills do you think you have that you could bring to the table to actually do it really, really well? And so that requires some critical thinking and some self-examination. And often it's good to actually outsource it and pay somebody else to do it who has those specific skills and the process and the systems. And I mean, it's a business. Like real estate, when you buy a property, you're buying a business. And I don't think people realize that. And so you need certain things in place to make sure that runs really, really smoothly. And so a good property manager will have that mindset of operating a business. And they'll be professional. They realize that not only is the owner their customer, but so are the tenants too. And so you really have to think about the building as a business, and you're selling a product that happens, to be a rental property.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Like you said, anybody could do it, and there's nothing wrong with doing that to an extent. But again, if you're going to go far with it, if you're going to really scale your investment business, there's only so much time in the day that you have to do that.
Yeah. It's funny. A lot of times, I don't know if you follow like a lot of financial investment blog posts or like some in the FIRE community, so financially independent, retire early. I subscribe to a lot of them, and I feel like everyone is always talking about their side hustle, and so like they've retired early, but then they work a million jobs just trying to make a little side income. And real estate, specifically in property management, it's kind of the same way as like, oh, I'm investing in this real estate to retire early or create passive income, except they're working crazy hours and they're tearing their hair out, and their family hates them because they're working all the time. And a big thing people need to calculate is their hourly wage, and how much is your time actually worth? Well, and property managers, they're not that expensive. The expensive stuff actually comes from bad property managers and just not doing a good job. That's where the big expenses come in. A good property manager will more than provide enough value for the cost that they're worth.
So, yeah, well, that's a great point then. So how would you tell the audience is a good way to tell a good property manager from a bad one?
One is just communication. A big thing that we try to do is set expectations and communicate upfront what's going on with the property. So being proactive and just say, hey, here's what happens, here's what we're planning to do, and here's how we expect that to come out. So really when you interview them, you can ask them questions, and based on their responses, you'll be able to gauge, are they effective communicators? Do they seem proactive, or at least have they been in situations that they have a good answer for the question that you're running them through? So the proactive communication is a big piece. Second is just having processes in place. A lot of property managers kind of just fly by the seat of their pants, and it feels like they're running around all over with their hair on fire. And you kind of just feel that when you're talking with them. It's like, we're talking right now, but I feel like your mind is all the way over. And just like listen to that in your gut, because a lot of the property managers, well, we're kind of all answering the question the same way. It's more how you answer it, and do you have stories to back that up to show that you've actually done it. So that's a couple tips that I would use when interviewing a property manager.
Yeah. Well, I can relate to that. I don't think I told you this earlier, but I used to be a property manager.
Oh, okay.
I had a portfolio that I was in charge of, and I can totally relate to kind of having my hair on fire, running all over the place. But it's important to have systems for how you're going to handle these different problems and respond to them so you don't go crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, property management is not a stress-free job. And good property managers know how to handle that stress and push it back onto the systems that they've created.
Want to hear more on this topic? Click the link below for the full episode of Maximizing Your Property Value.